Well, am an MP who represents a riding that is partly in the Greater Toronto Area. As a result, I'm often in downtown Toronto. I'm often at the University of Toronto talking to experts in a range of policy areas at the the Monk School of International Affairs, which happens to be located at St. George and Bloor Street. And just up the street, a mere matter of blocks, is the PRC consulate where this particular diplomat, Mr. Wei Zhou, worked. So it would have been nice to know that this individual was targeting me so that I could have at least been aware of my surroundings and to ensure that nothing nefarious was going on. So those are the kinds of things that I think elected officials and Canadians more broadly need to be made aware of. If we're not aware of these things, we go about our business, not thinking about these things.
So he had no clue. He's being targeted directly out of the consulate. CSIS, RCMP, Global Affairs Canada, by the way, and the Liberal Party, the Privy Council office also, so the chief bureaucrats around Justin Trudeau, know that the opposition MPs and candidates are being directly targeted by the PRC on Canadian soil in a multitude of ways. There are different ways that they do this to you. They will threaten your family. They will threaten you directly. They will threaten your voters, tell them to stay home. They'll threaten your campaign. They'll bus in fake voters. And they also, as it turns out, use Chinese language media here to effectively shun you in the community so that people don't know that you even exist. Especially if, that's how ethnically Chinese voters get their news. So they don't even know you exist. You're completely shunned from it. And so there's plenty of testimony heard about that. And nobody ever told Michael Chong that he was directly being targeted out of the consulate. Isn't that frightening? He could have been killed. And the Liberals would have had that information and not given him any information about the potential for that. Isn't that atrocious, all to win an election? Let's go to, and I don't think we need to show the whole thing, but late yesterday afternoon, the Conservative Party's lawyer, whose first name escapes me, but his last name is DeLuca, who is just excellent. He sets all these traps and you don't even know they're happening. So you have to listen to all of his testimony just from beginning to end, because if you miss the beginning, it's like watching Matlock. I just completely aged myself. But he sort of asks these questions, and then the person he's asking the question to sticks their leg in a big leg snare. It's beautiful. But late yesterday afternoon, evening, Eastern time, DeLuca got to the bottom of why the Conservative MPs were not being told they were being targeted. And as it turns out, the security apparatus in this country needed clearance from the public safety minister to give these secret briefings to the members of the opposition parties. And during the campaign, that permission didn't come. So all the information that the opposition parties was very generic. And so the public safety minister only waived that rule in 2023 when all of this hit the fan. So if we could show that, I think it's a 3-minute clip. We don't need to show it all, but is this it? Talking with CSIS yesterday, and hopefully that's the right clip. Let's try it. If it isn't, I'll see if I can dig it up.
So yes, Madam Commissioner, I believe that the May 26 refers to the threat reduction measures briefing that was provided to Mr. O'Toole.
Okay, and similarly with respect to Mr. Chu, sir, is your answer the same?
Is it, I don't see the document at the moment, but is it contemporary to, 18 September? Yes, I believe it is the case. I will make that assumption depending on the next questions you have for me, but yeah.
They're very general. With the intelligence that was shared in this format, and as is reflected here with both Mr. O'Toole and Mr. Chu, have been gathered in the lead up to and during the 2021 federal election?
So, Madam Commissioner, my colleague just pointed out that indeed the meeting with Mr. Chu on the September 18 was under the guise of threat reduction measures. So, as my colleague, Madam Tessier, explained earlier, that's the process by which we can use classified information. So the information, I did not provide that briefing myself, but my understanding is that briefing would have included information, yes, including related to the federal election in 2021, but other relevant information, that including, because it was a TRM, including classified information.
Okay, so to the extent that there was information with respect to the 2021 period, why was it being provided to both Mr. O'Toole and Mr. Chu only in 2023?
So, Madam Commissioner, we have, as been mentioned, we have limitations on what we can and how we can apply threat reduction measures. When we also testify about the fact that there's been an evolution of how we have approached foreign interference matters in the country. And so at this point in 2023, discussion internally, and also after receiving a direction from the minister to share all information with all parliamentarians, we prepared those threat reduction measures and then briefed Mr. Chu and Mr. O'Toole with all the information we had at our disposal. So it was in the context of that ministerial directive that these threat reduction measures were undertook.
Thank you. Mr. Luca, I think.
Fine.
Okay, did you get it? It was right at the end there. So it was, they could not tell the opposition party members who were the targets of the Chinese meddling, that China was targeting them because they needed permission from the public safety minister to have these high-level secret briefings with them, because the opposition parties are technically not members of the government. So the Liberals, who were benefiting from the Chinese meddling, had the power to withhold the information from the targets of the Chinese meddling, and they did it until 2 years after the election. What good does that do to anybody 2 years after the fact? They knew they were getting high-level briefings the whole time because they were members of the government. They were getting briefings as members of cabinet. And I should note, Justin Trudeau and his chief handlers during the campaign in 2021, so as the leader of the Liberal Party and not as the Prime Minister, were the recipients of secret CSIS and these high-level security apparatus briefings that the other parties were not getting. This one-on-one treatment, Justin Trudeau was getting it. So what was happening in those secret meetings? Were they saying, oh yeah, by the way, we know that Kenny Chu is being targeted by the PRC. Should we tell him? No, I don't think so. It's obvious the Liberals were being told all along the way that the Conservative candidates were being targeted. They didn't release that information to the Conservative Party so that they could protect their own safety, let alone the integrity of the election in those ridings. It's disgusting. It's absolutely immoral. Somebody could have been killed, let alone the fact that, we have at least 6, 8, maybe 13 ridings that went the wrong way because of election meddling. Let's go to, before we go into just finishing up the last little bit, Olivia, do we have an ad break, or you know what? I'll just finish up this last little bit, then we'll do the ad break and we'll go into Trudeau being an idiot, which is, I don't know why that's news anymore, but he's the gift that keeps on giving if you want to have a chuckle after a long day at the commission. So with relation to Han Dong, that's the Liberal Party MP, now independent, in the riding of Don Valley North. I touched on it a little bit earlier. There were Chinese high school students who went to a school outside of Han Dong's riding, who for some reason went to campaign at a school outside of his riding, where it's full of foreign national Mandarin speaking students. It's a private school. But miraculously, all these students lived within the riding, went to school outside of the riding. And on election day, or at least nomination day, they turned up in a bus that he forgot about and doesn't know who organized, but he just remembered it a couple of days ago when his wife reminded him. He now sits as an independent because the Liberals are trying to distance themselves. Justin Trudeau won't say if this recipient of CCP meddling, allegedly, don't sue me, hand on, if he will be allowed to rejoin the Liberal Party. You would think if Justin Trudeau were concerned about distancing himself from allegations of being a CCP operative, he would say, heck no. But no, he's just not sure. Let's watch this.
In light of the testimony and the documents you've heard, will you allow Mr. Dong to return to caucus, and why have you not done so already?
Obviously, these are ongoing conversations that need to be taken very seriously, and we are. This commission is an important moment for Canadians and for our institutions to really take stock of everything we've done to keep Canadians safe and look at what more might be needed to be done by our intelligence services to keep the integrity of our democratic institutions and our economy whole. That's why I'm looking forward to participating next week in the Commission's work.
What on earth is he talking about? So at least he's going to testify next week. It's probably going to be like when he testified before the Public Order Emergency Commission. But I think there are going to be some great moments during his testimony, because I have to tell you, Michael Chong's lawyer is absolutely excellent. Aaron O'Toole's lawyer, absolutely excellent. The lawyer for the Conservative Party, he's a joy to watch. My ears just perk up when I hear Mr. DeLuca's name. And even the lawyer for NDP, Jenny Kwan, there are two of them. Very, very good. Very good, asking tough questions. So I look forward to seeing Justin Trudeau try to over-emote his way through his testimony and baffle us all with BS as though we're all as dumb as he is.